You've been carrying this dream, this idea that keeps tugging at your heart. And if we're honest, it's not lack of knowledge that's holding you back. It's the hesitation, the excuses, the waiting for the perfect moment. Let me tell you something. There will never be a perfect moment. The next 6 months are going to pass whether you take action or not. The only question is, will you be in the same place or will you finally make it happen? Think about it. 6 months. That's about 180 days, and every single one of those days is a chance. A chance to take one step, one uncomfortable move, one decision that pushes you closer to the life you keep imagining. The mistake we all make is thinking it has to be this massive leap, this huge overnight transformation. But the truth is, everything you want happens by stacking small, consistent actions. You don't need to know how to get all the way there. You just need to take the first step. Here's the reality. 6 months from now, you could be healthier, more confident, financially stronger, in a new career, building that business, writing that book, or finally standing in the life you've been dreaming about. Or you could still be saying someday. And if you're being really honest with yourself, how many times have you already told yourself someday? You don't need someday, you need now. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting until you feel ready. You don't have to feel ready, you just have to act. Do it scared, do it unsure, do it messy, but do it. Because here's the thing, action creates clarity. Action builds confidence. Action gives you momentum, and once you get momentum, you become unstoppable. So I want you to picture yourself 6 from today. Imagine walking into that version of your life. What do you see? Who are you? What have you created? That image, that vision, it's not impossible. It's not for other people. It's for you. The difference between the version of you who gets there and the version of you who doesn't is the choice you make today. You've got a window of time right now to rewrite your story. 6 months. That's all it takes to completely change the trajectory of your life. Don't waste another second overthinking it. Don't tell yourself the same tired story about why you can't decide. Commit, act. The next 6 months are going to pass anyway. Make them count. 6 months might not sound like a lot of time, but let me tell you something. It's more than enough to completely change your life. 6 months is 180 days. Think about that. 180 chances to take a step forward. 180 opportunities to wake up and decide that today. You're not just going to think about it, you're going to move. And when you add those small steps together, you'll be shocked at how far you can go in what feels like such a short period of time. The problem is, most of us underestimate what we can do in 6 months and overestimate what we can do in a single day. We put so much pressure on ourselves to have it all figured out right now, today, this moment, and when we don't, we get frustrated, we give up, or we tell ourselves the same tired story, maybe later. But here's the truth, later is not coming. 6 months from now, you're going to be living the consequences of the choices you're making right now, and that should fire you up because it means that today, this very moment, you hold the pen. You get to decide what 6 months from now looks like. Let me put it into perspective. 6 months is enough time to lose weight, build strength, and feel incredible in your own body. It's enough time to save a chunk of money, start a business, or clear debt that's been hanging over you for years. It's enough time to learn a new skill, change careers, or write the first draft of that book you've been carrying inside of you. 6 months is long enough to rebuild confidence, repair relationships, or finally walk away from the ones that are toxic. It's long enough to reshape your habits, your routines, and your identity. But none of that happens if you sit around waiting for the perfect time or the perfect plan. Perfection is a trap. You don't need perfection, you need momentum. And momentum comes from starting, from doing something today, no matter how small, and doing it again tomorrow. Think about the power of compounding. If you saved just a little bit of money every day for 6 months, you'd have a financial cushion. If you worked out just 30 minutes a day, 6 months later, you wouldn't even recognize yourself in the mirror. If you wrote 1 page a day in 6 months, you'd have a book. That's the power of 6 months. It's not about giant, life-altering decisions in a single instant. It's about consistency. It's about showing up. It's about trusting the process. And the best part is, 6 months is close enough that you can see it. It doesn't feel like some far-off future you'll never reach. It's tangible. It's right there. You could mark it on a calendar and count the days. Imagine looking at that date 6 months from now and knowing that you used every single day to move yourself closer to the life you wanted. The question isn't whether 6 months is enough time. It absolutely is. The question is whether you'll use those days intentionally or whether you'll let them slip by while you tell yourself that you'll start tomorrow. Because the truth is, 6 months is coming no matter what. The only thing you get to decide is who you will be when it arrives. We think progress only counts when it's big, when it's dramatic, when it looks like those flashy success stories people post online. But that's not how real change happens. Real change happens in the quiet, boring, often invisible choices you make every single day. You don't transform your life by taking one giant leap. You transform it by stacking small daily steps that eventually create massive results. And here's the part that most people miss. Those small steps don't feel powerful in the moment. They feel insignificant, but over time, they are the most powerful thing you can do. Think about it this way. If you worked out for 8 hours straight, you'd be exhausted, but if you wouldn't be in shape. But if you worked out for 30 minutes a day, consistently, for 6 months, you'd change your entire body. That's the difference. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. Small steps add up, small wins compound, they build momentum in a way that one-time efforts never can. The reason so many people quit is because they expect results too quickly. They take a couple of steps, they don't see the payoff right away, and they decide it's not working. But success doesn't work on your timeline. Success is stubborn. It demands patience. It demands that you keep showing up even when it feels like nothing is happening. And then, almost overnight, the results show up. The truth is, they weren't overnight results. They were the visible payoff of invisible work you'd been stacking day after day. You have to start seeing those small steps as deposits into your future. Every time you make a healthier choice, you're depositing into your future health. Every time you save a little money instead of spending it, you're depositing into your future freedom. Every time you sit down and work on that project for just an hour, you're depositing into your future success. It might not look like much today, but those deposits compound. They grow. They create a momentum that is impossible to stop once it builds. And here's the beautiful thing. Small steps are doable. You don't have to wait until you have the time, the money, or the perfect circumstances. You don't need to change your whole life in one move. You just need to ask yourself, what is one small thing I can do today to move in the direction of my goals? And then do it again tomorrow and again the next day. Before you know it, those small actions become habits, and those habits create a new identity. You stop being someone who wishes for change and you become someone who lives it. The compound effect is real. It's why the first week might feel slow. The first month might feel frustrating, but by the second and third month, you start to notice subtle shifts. By the fourth and fifth, you start to see progress. By the sixth, you look back and realize you're standing in a completely different place than where you started, all because you chose to trust the power of small steps. So stop waiting for the big breakthrough. Stop telling yourself it has to be perfect. Start where you are with what you have and take the smallest possible step forward. That step may not feel like much today, but 6 months from now, it will be the step that changed everything. We spend so much of our lives waiting for the right timing, waiting until we feel ready, waiting until the stars align and everything falls perfectly into place. But here's the truth you don't want to hear. That perfect moment you're waiting for, it doesn't exist. There is no such thing as perfect timing. There's just now. And if you keep waiting until everything feels right, you will be waiting for the rest of your life. Think about how many times you've held yourself back because you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow. Or, I'll do it when I have more money, more time, more support. How many opportunities have you let pass because you convinced yourself you weren't ready yet? The irony is that you don't get ready by waiting, you get ready by doing. Readiness is a byproduct of action. You don't suddenly wake up one day and feel prepared. You wake up scared, uncertain, maybe even unqualified, and you move anyway. That's how you build confidence. That's how you figure things out. That's how you learn. Waiting for perfect timing is just another way of saying you're afraid. Afraid to fail, afraid to look foolish, afraid of the discomfort that comes with trying something new. And here's the thing, you're supposed to be afraid. You're supposed to feel uncomfortable. That's the price of growth. That's the sign you're doing something that matters. If it were easy, if it felt safe, you'd already be doing it. So let's be real for a second. The clock is ticking. 6 months from now will come whether you act or not. The time will pass anyway. The only difference is what you do with it. Do you want to look back and realize you spent 6 more months waiting for everything to be perfect? Or do you want to look back and realize you spent 6 months building, learning, growing, and moving forward even when it was messy and imperfect? Life doesn't reward perfection. Life rewards action. You can sit around planning, preparing, and dreaming, but none of that matters if you don't execute. Ideas are worthless without action. Potential means nothing if you never use it. You don't have to know all the answers before you start. You don't have to see the entire staircase to take the first step. You just have to be willing to begin, to trust yourself enough to figure it out along the way. And here's the secret most people don't realize: the moment you start, the moment you take action, the universe starts to shift. Doors you couldn't see before begin to open. Resources appear. People show up. Opportunities present themselves. None of that happens when you're standing still waiting for perfection. It only happens when you move. Stop lying to yourself with the excuse of perfect timing. Stop using it as a shield to protect yourself from the discomfort of change. The perfect moment isn't coming. The perfect plan doesn't exist. The perfect time is right now in all its imperfection. Because what you do today creates the tomorrow you keep dreaming about. And if you keep waiting, tomorrow will stay a dream forever. We live in a world where people believe confidence is something you're born with, like a genetic gift, or something that magically appears once you've achieved success. But that's not how confidence works. Confidence isn't a prerequisite for action. It's the result of action. You don't wait until you feel confident to start. You start before you feel ready, and the act of starting is what creates confidence. Action is the fuel. Action is what rewires your brain to believe in yourself. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most proud, the most alive, the most capable. Were those moments comfortable? Were you sitting on the sidelines planning, preparing, waiting for the perfect conditions? No. Those moments came when you did something new, something scary, something that pushed you beyond what you thought you could handle. You didn't feel confident first, you acted, and the confidence showed up after. That's how it always works. Confidence is built like a muscle. You don't get stronger by thinking about lifting weights. You get stronger by actually lifting them over and over until your body adapts. The same goes for your mind. Every time you take a step forward, even when you're afraid, you're lifting the weight of your doubt. You're training your brain to trust that you can handle more than you think. Over time, those reps add up. Suddenly, you're walking into situations you used to avoid. You're speaking up in rooms where you once stayed silent. You're taking risks that once felt impossible. And people look at you and say, "Wow, you're so confident." But you know the truth? It wasn't confidence that got you started. It was action. The reason this is so powerful is because it means you don't have to wait. You don't have to sit around hoping confidence will magically appear one morning. You can create it right now. All you have to do is move. Do the thing you've been putting off. Have the conversation you've been dreading. Take the first step toward the goal that scares you. Every time you do, you are literally teaching your brain, "I can trust myself. I can do hard things. I can figure this out." That is the root of real confidence. Not arrogance, not pretending, but self-trust. And here's another truth. Confidence doesn't come from getting it right every time. It comes from surviving the times you got it wrong. When you try, fail, and realize you're still standing, your brain learns that failure isn't fatal. That lesson is worth more than any win, because once you stop fearing failure, you become unstoppable. You're no longer paralyzed by what might go wrong because you trust yourself to handle it. That's confidence. So the next time you catch yourself waiting until you feel ready, stop. That feeling isn't coming. What's coming is an opportunity that will pass you by if you don't act. Action is what flips the switch. Action is what transforms fear into courage and hesitation into momentum. And action, repeated consistently, is what builds the kind of unshakable confidence that changes your entire life. Every single day you are faced with a choice. A choice to keep doing things the same way you always have, or to finally decide, commit, and act. Those three words, decide, commit, act, are the blueprint for change. They're simple, but they are the hardest steps you'll ever take because they require you to stop waiting, stop wishing, and start moving. And if you want the next 6 months of your life to look different from the last 6 months, these 3 steps are non-negotiable. First, decide. That's where it begins. Decision is power. Until you make a real decision, everything is just a vague wish. How many times have you said, "I want to get healthier," or "I want to start saving money," or "I want to change careers"? That's not a decision. That's a statement. A decision is when you draw a line in the sand and say, "I'm doing this, no matter what. No more excuses." It's when you stop negotiating with yourself and start owning the outcome. Most people never get past this stage because they stay stuck in indecision, waiting for clarity. But here's the thing. Clarity doesn't come before the decision. It comes after. You decide first and clarity follows, then commit. This is where people fall off track. They make a decision, but they don't commit to it fully. Commitment means you burn the boats. You stop giving yourself an exit strategy. You stop saying, I'll try. Trying is weak. Commitment is power. Commitment is saying, even on the days when I don't feel like it, I'm still showing up. Even when it gets hard, I'm still in this. Even when I fail, I'm still moving forward. Commitment is not about how you feel in the moment. It's about the promise you've made to yourself. And when you truly commit, something shifts. You stop wasting energy debating whether or not you'll do it. You've already decided. Now your only focus is finding a way. Finally, act. Nothing changes until you move. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You can decide all you want. You can commit all you want. But if you don't take action, nothing happens. The danger is that we confuse planning with action. We make lists, we talk about goals, we imagine possibilities, but those things are not action. Action is getting up earlier to work out. Action is putting money into savings instead of spending it. Action is sending the email, making the call, signing up for the class, pressing publish, taking the step. Action is uncomfortable, it's messy, and it never feels perfect. But it's the only thing that gets you results. And here's the best part, the moment you act, you change. You're no longer someone who's thinking about it, you're someone who's doing it. That shift in identity is powerful. It fuels momentum. It makes you want to keep going because you've proven to yourself that you can, and momentum is addictive. One small action leads to another, and before you know it,